watching Morning at NTV.
People really choose coming to you live from Makerere. I'm Andrew Chamagedo Muntuawansi, and today, like I earlier said, we have a very interesting conversation, something to deal with the Uganda Airlines. A few months ago, we were all excited, and I remember that conversation. We had it with the residents of Baita Babidi. If we were excited about Uganda Airlines, they gave their opinions, but again, down the road in the recent few weeks, we've had, of course, the press reports about a lot going on with the Uganda Airlines. And not only that, government called upon some stakeholders and banks to actually pool funds to make sure we can realize this. And while that was actually running, they said, whoa, wait a minute. We still have challenges here. Now, this is a conversation we actually brought down to the Muntuawans, especially the youth, because we are looking at actually people who are, you know, the target audience for the employment, for the opportunities that awaits them. And this is the conversation we're here to have. I have a panel here of leaders at Makerere. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Your name, sir?
Martin Kato is my name.
Martin Kato.
Wabado wagira chisingo budu na ye just ngabo manyu brotherhood mbuganda.
Oh, yeah.
Budu twabade tusobola singo bwetu twagire sene sobola okuwangula.
Okay, so you workers?
I work as the Guild Information Minister of Makerere University.
Yes.
My name is Lutuamajo William,
okay,
and the GRC School of Business. I represent all those beautiful ladies from the School of Business.
Be nice.
Good morning, the viewers. My name is Mugisha Julius, and I am the Minister for External Affairs at the 4th Guild.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm called Kazora Fred, Honorable Bismarck, GRC School of Ribbon Performing Arts.
Okay.
I'm Nachaze Semgoma Julian, a Chair Lady Complex Hall.
Okay. Nachaze, please be in the middle, that we can have this all balanced, all through. Okay. Well, we are starting a conversation. Let me just throw it to you, Kato Martins. Are we ready to have the Uganda Airlines?
Perhaps we should be ready because, you know, the biggest problem in Uganda is to start. Regardless of the challenges we have in here and there, we have to start so that we can tackle all the indolences that are in. So recently, in February, we saw the Minister of Works and Transport, Honorable Minister Monica Azuba, telling us that by December, we shall have 4 jets on board, and probably by the end of, by the start of next year, people will be going into different destinations. But my worry is one that we targeted only places in Africa, those Kigali, Nairobi, Johannesburg. I don't know whether Ugandans won't be able to fly outside the
you
world.
know, this depends on the Boeings you have. Let me try to bring you to speed. Rwanda Air actually flies. We can't have a Rwanda Air going straight to United States. So each different route gives you the challenge and gives you the Boeings you actually need. So what are you saying? Are you saying we should get even bigger Boeings?
To take you back, I remember Uganda had this airline more than 18 years because I remember selling our 44-seater jet in 2000. So we had these things even before Rwanda, before Kenya. How come that now they are ahead of us? Yet we once there, so I don't think we cannot do that. So let the minister and the president get on board and please present to us something that is a little bit better.
Okay, there you go. Are we ready for the Uganda Airlines?
As per se, to me, we are not ready for the Uganda Airlines.
Why are you saying that? Why are you a spoiler, you guys?
No, I'm not a spoiler, but this is reality.
Okay.
You see, this is Uganda where you're seeing every money is being swindled. Yeah. So how sure are we that this money won't be swindled?
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing all facts of police everywhere in the country. You're seeing everything. You understand? So there is no way you can say that we are ready. To me, we are not ready because it's not a priority.
So how best can we fix all this?
We can fix all this through we need patriotism. People have to be patriotic to their country, and that has to be instilled by the leaders of this country. They are the ones responsible for that. Unless if people are not patriotic to the country, we cannot say that we are ready for the jets. Maybe they can purchase more weapons and other things. But not the jets.
This is serious. All right, we're still talking about something to do with the Uganda Airlines, and I'm just looking. Let's talk about the jobs. They are bringing the jobs to the youth. They are saying these jobs are meant for the youth. Are we actually ready? Do we have enough skills? Do we have enough capacity as a nation?
Well, again, good morning, our viewers. In my view, we do not have the capacity yet, given that the training schools are very few in the country, implying that we shall have to hire experts, and the experts will repatriate back the incomes. So basically, the government should invest more in education that prioritizes such courses that deal with the aircraft things. That's when the Ugandans can be ready for that.
Okay.
But also giving my suggestion, if the country we are ready for that, we are not ready for that.
Why are we not ready?
Given the Uganda's priority areas of investment, that is not part of it.
Where are our priorities as
it is
a country?
security. Given that we have a president who prefers regime stay, his only area of investment is basically security. That's why you've seen areas like in agriculture we are struggling, and which have a big multiplier effect to the people of the common person. So I believe that as a country that we should look at areas that have great multiplier effects like agriculture, so that we may maximize and benefit from that, other than going to things that we may not work out.
Okay. So we don't need to buy more weapons because you're not at war with anyone, right? All right. The lady here, what do you make of this Uganda airline fancy buzzy around the town?
It's an exciting thing, that's what I can say. The first time they brought it up to the public, we were really excited. And you know, we thought it's one of the biggest achievements we are yet to have. But in my own view, yes, we might be ready, but at some point we might not be ready. It was abrupt. Yeah, that's one. And then, how far are we going to be independent with this whole airlines thing? Because when you see the aviation system of Uganda, there is a why I don't think we are even independent. They say CAA is a parastatal, but you see all authorities and organizations that are within the airport, they have to subscribe to CAA. And CAA has to sell out the data, the aviation data. But there is no plane that will go up there when it does not have the data. So, are we going to get the data free of charge, or are we going to still buy the data just like Kenyan Airways does it, or Ethiopian Airlines? So that is my whole bit. And about the jobs, lots of people pinned up jobs. I actually be one of the people.
Did you apply?
Yeah, and the first time I went on the link, it was not working like for a week. And I had to write postal. I had to use postal address. So how ready are these people? Because they advertised that thing so much, it was in newspapers, it was everywhere, and the link was not working. So if they're not even ready with just that, then how ready will they be?
This is a great conversation. Mr. Luja will be actually joining us in studios very soon. She mentioned something to do with data, how we actually sell our data. Are we selling our data? Are we buying? Are we giving it out for free? This is a... Luja is going to be answering this. Seb, what do you make of the Uganda Airlines?
Uganda Airlines, what I can say, Uganda, we are not yet to reach an extent of facilitating everything concerning the Uganda Airlines. The problem is, where you have reached as Uganda, in Uganda you can say tukuze. First of all, from time when we got our independence, there are very many years now down the road. The years that the government has stayed in power are also very many. So the world is expecting us to have achieved something. But then we did not get the vision for that. Now we have reached an extent of being on competition with other countries. But
is it the Rwanda-Kenya pressure pushing us?
Yes. I remember 2016, Museveni he himself, after coming to power again for the 5th term, he said that now the major goal is to be with the Uganda Airline, and he was addressing to the cabinet. Then he said that I didn't want this because our brothers like South Africa, Ethiopia, Rwanda had. But later he changed his mind that it will not help us. Why? Because the competition was stiff, and that Uganda was expected to be somewhere on the global scale. So now we entered into the competition of which we were not ready for, because we didn't have the vision of this thing. So what was it required? It is to put a lot of money in something which we are not going to facilitate. We are not going to facilitate. Airline is not like a border or taxi or running a vehicle company. It is something that needs brain. So we are going to use experts. Though we can develop as a country, but ask yourself, to what extent are the natives of a country benefiting from this? So if you forget about that, then you will bring it, but it will not help us.
It won't help.
Uganda will be somewhere according to the world image, but still the Ugandans will be suffering. So when the government came to power, actually the expenses are on major on two sectors. One, security. Two, government officials.
These are very interesting. Breakdown for the government officials there.
Government officials, when they came in power, they had an aim now of appeasing themselves. So when they brought security, they said the Ugandans have peace. You have peace to do whatever you want. Chintu chafe. So when we entered into Chintu chafe, then
everything got a mess. Wow, this is a conversation. We are still at Makerere University. The ideas are overwhelming. These students actually have a lot of insights here. But let me try to take you back. Do our political leaders, the ones who sit in parliament, the policy makers, do they do enough research to actually advise on the state on how to go?
If you genuinely see how the structure of our parliament is, you can also tell me just a caucus of NLM MPs sitting, that is enough to decide for the country. And to take you back, the caucus just goes on to the toys of President Museveni. So that literally means that the decision of one person comes on board, and that one is genuinely done. Just know now, if Museveni decides and all the people are...
Can you use one person having an idea and you use the word genuinely done in the same statement?
No, of course. Let us be frank. Let us not prolong the bush.
Yes.
This is something that is seen by everyone, and you can also concur with me, Andrew Muntuawansi, of course. No, you have to, because if you can see this. Yes, because most of the MPs in parliament are for NLM.
Yes.
And they always have their caucuses in Chankwanzi. So once they decide, they come. If it is a thing for voting, they will come, they will make their voting, and of course the policy will pass depending on what they want. So in one way or the other, people power is not literally in power yet, because it does not have enough people to show their interests.
All right. Do you think we have a gap in research as a nation?
Really, to me, we have a very big gap.
How can we improve this? Because we have to find our own solutions here.
We can improve this through increased investment in research. The government can increase its investment in research.
She said she applied, she went online, even the website link was not working. Even, like there are lots of things that are not working through. How can we fix all, these are small things. If we don't have small things fixed, how sure are we that the big Boeing won't crash on us?
Okay, that's not new to Uganda, what you have said. That's common.
It has always happened.
Aren't you in Uganda? Aren't you guys in Uganda? No, that's a common thing. So it has. Okay. To me, I wasn't shocked. It's no more.
So does that mean the youth actually who are applying for jobs on these links and never, like the human resource does not even look at these emails that go through at the end of the day?
Do you think the youths will ever get those jobs even if they are not privileged, if they are not from the well-off families, they are not connected to the,
I hear you.
You understand?
Wow. Give me your opinion about that. Have you ever sent emails on jobs that you apply, and have they ever gotten back to you?
Yeah. I think they have an automated system where they tell you thanks received. Yeah, but with that thing, it was off for a whole week. The first week they advertised those jobs. But our research in this country about those things is lacking because of, in my own opinion, I think the favoritism in the country. You very well know at times people don't get the jobs because of their qualifications. People don't really get the time to look for experts and then advise them on some issues. So there is no way that research they do within themselves that are favored will help anyone, because maybe they're not well versed with the knowledge about
But are our leaders versed with this information? When you look at an MP talking about Uganda Airlines on TV and he's stressing his point, what do you make of our leaders?
There's some leaders that really don't have that knowledge. You look at drama actors in parliament, you look at musicians, you look at maybe senior six vacists who left and just joined parliament straight away. And these people have not really gotten a lot of knowledge about some aspects. So how can they advise about aviation? Aviation is a very delicate sector because it can crash something of about maybe even 500 people once and they all die. It's a very critical sector that not everyone can reason out for aviation. But special people have to, who are really well versed with the air.
And we have enough capacity. We have enough trainings here when you look at the aviation schools. Oh, just to put you to speed, we had a couple of calls we actually made to the aviation schools in Uganda. One of them was the Carrier Institute Uganda. Then we had the Aviation, Uganda Aviation School. They didn't pick up their line. We had the Supreme Aviation Academy. The one who picked the calls actually said she was at a wedding. So, do we have our aviation schools ready for the next generation of aviation?
With the costs of their tuition, I do not think we can really go about these aviation schools. Because when you look at the East African Flying School, to become a pilot, you need 50 millions. Like me, Julian, where am I going to get 50 millions to become a pilot? Okay, cabin crew at Uganda Aviation School, it's 10 millions, a 6-month course.
Wow.
Like, that's too much for a normal Ugandan.
And are you assured of a job in after you?
You can't be assured, obviously, because of my career, we are here because we are going to study, but we are not sure we shall get the jobs after. So spending 10 millions within 6 months, and that's only tuition. The other necessities beyond tuition. That's really too much for a normal Ugandan.
Well, there you have it. Even the schooling is another question. We already have Mr. Vian Luja already in studios, happens to be the spokesperson of Civil Aviation Authority. Julian, this is the guy. You were talking about the data and all that. Please ask him your questions.
My question is the aviation information, because when a plane is up in space, it does not even need the pilot, but rather it needs the data about the jam, the data about the weather. How will Uganda benefit? Because it's our own country, we have to receive most of the things for free. Is the data going to be free, or it will be on sale, just like we give to Rwanda Air or Kenyan Airways?
There you go, Mr. Luja. You need to answer that question. Are we selling our data, or are we buying in another, or is it for free? Well, that's a question Mr. Luja will be attending to. You mentioned about the leakages between the Montuawansi and the aviation. That our priorities, we cannot look at that when agriculture is not really fundamentally, amplified. How do we fuse the two?
Well, to fuse the two is that we should look at an area that benefits most of the majority of Ugandans, and that should be agriculture. So if we can invest in agriculture very well and people are able to attain from such a sector, that will have a multiplier effect that people can afford flights. You look at a percentage of Ugandans. I myself have never gone airboard. I don't know how it is.
Why haven't you gone? Come on. Look at Kato's look. Look at Kato.
It does not basically look on the look of the outfit, but at times the capacity. The capacity. So when you look at it, it's very expensive. And when you look at our per capita income as an individual, the money is not there. It is in a few people. A few people have the money, and we have seen through various scandals where the government has failed to act. So implying that even if we invest in the aviation a lot, it will benefit a few. And basically, government is meant to put a policy that favor everyone, because we are all voters and we pay taxes. So implying we are supposed to also acquire the same services.
So you have a suggestion. It's okay, we can leave the Uganda Airlines to pause a bit. We come back to agriculture. We amplify more of the agriculture. We get enough monies and the GDP goes up. Then we can actually look at the airlines.
Yeah, very well. Also, plus also the healthy sector, it's bad off. So most of these other sectors need first to be worked on, because for them they have a direct impact on the people. Unlike this aviation thing, it's just for basically a few. We can allow, and in the spirit of East African community, we can support, let's say, support a country like Rwanda, Kenya, something like that, as well as we focus. Because if you look at countries like Kenya, Rwanda, their health sectors are far better, the agriculture is doing good. So let us not rush in the spirit of East Africanism. We catch up, and then we also seem to be having one. Let us do something that has a tangible benefit the people, the average people down.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Mr. Luja is now ready. If you met Mr. Luja, who happens to be the PR of Civil Aviation, what question would you fire? Because she already had a question about data. What's your question?
Well, the question that I would ask him, I would want him to show me the cost impact of us investing in the aviation, other than these other sectors. Who does it benefit more? And that should be answered not protecting maybe his job as a honest Ugandan, as a muntu wawansi.
Mr. Luja, there you have it. The two questions here. One from Julian. It was about the data. Are we buying it? Are we selling? Or is it for free? Then he says, as a honest Ugandan, Mr. Luja Avian, what are the cost implications of us investing in aviation?
Thank you very much, Andrew. Aviation is one of the very big contributors to the national economy. It's a very big sector and it drives other sectors in the economy. Investment in air transport, therefore, is extremely important because it not only benefits the aviation industry, but once the aviation industry grows, other sectors such as tourism, you know, tourism is a very good earner of foreign exchange for a country, and one of the best ways of promoting tourism is by actually promoting air transport, because the biggest number of tourists that come into the country connect using air transport. So when you promote air transport, you are promoting tourism indirectly, you are driving other sectors of the economy, because aviation, when it develops, it has spillover effects to the other sectors. And now let me link that exactly to the national airline issue that they were discussing earlier on, whether indeed it is necessary for us to have one. Yes, of course it is. And this is the time for us to actually get a national airline. It is long overdue. One of the challenges we have had as a country is because of lack of a national airline. You notice that the passenger traffic to Uganda, the numbers are very low. In 2017, we had 1,620,000 international and transit passengers coming in and out of the country. When you compare that to our neighbors, for instance, at Jomo Kenyatta Airport in Nairobi, which is one of several international airports in Nairobi, they had over 6 to 7 million passengers at only one international airport. But each passenger that comes in, when you look at the kind of monies that they pay, that they bring into the economy, they contribute a lot to the country's economy.
Actually, the president that actually said that the country loses about 420 million USD every year just because we don't have a national carrier. But I think the question that is coming through from the students on ground is, okay, fine, we know that the issue of us having a national carrier is long overdue, but the question is the economy ready for it?
Yes, the economy is ready for it. A national airline should not be looked at in terms of what you are going to benefit from it in the short or medium term. But we should look at it and only equate it to infrastructure. For instance, the way you put up a road, and that road transports people to do their other businesses. You are not going to benefit from this road in the short term or even medium term, but because of the indirect benefits it brings across, and it facilitates other businesses, the country benefits a lot. It is similar when it comes to the airline. The airline is an enabler for air transport. It will bring in a lot of people into the country, and those people bring in foreign exchange. Not only those entering the country, but let me give you an example. Last year, we had just about 100,000 transit passengers at Entebbe. Now, transit passengers, these are the ones who spend time at the airport,
yes,
waiting to connect onto another flight. Now, when you do not have a national airline, these numbers cannot grow. But these passengers, while they are at the airport, 2 to 4, 3, 6 hours waiting to connect to another aircraft, they are buying items from the duty-free shops. And these items are being bought in dollars, euros, pounds. So they are bringing in foreign exchange into the country. Now, if those numbers of transit passengers can grow, and they can only grow with a national airline because it is the one that connects, you are getting in foreign exchange. I've hinted on the tourism bit. The national airline acts as a flag bearer. Wherever it goes, it is a flag bearer, and it helps. It is the best marketing tool for a country. To complement the tourism that we have. You know, Uganda has great tourism potential, but you have probably boarded other airlines. I have been on Kenya Airways one time, and because it's not our airline, they cannot directly promote what is in Uganda. For instance, they may be referring to a tourist attraction that is in Uganda, but they refer to that tourism attraction, for instance, the mountains, as so many miles away from Nairobi. So you can imagine what we are losing. If this was our airline, we would be promoting our own tourist attractions directly. But also, there is the other element. Right now, the country is peaceful. and we thank God for that. But God forbid, if anything happened, if some kind of instability arose, usually international air operators tend to shun the airspace of that country where instability is. And we have seen this happening in South Sudan recently. When they had a little bit of instability, all the international airlines shunned the airspace. It is only the local airlines that could have the courage to continue flying in and out of the country. So for strategic reasons also, it is extremely important.
Yeah, to safeguard that eventuality.
But besides that,
yes,
there is that promotion of domestic travel in a country. Right now, Uganda has 13 upcountry airfields spread across the country. There's very low traffic in these domestic airfields. Yet we have local players plying these domestic routes from Entebbe to the various aerodromes in Arua, Gulu, and others. But when you get a national airline, because it is supposed to provide subsidized or discounted rates, it should automatically promote travel to these domestic aerodromes.
Okay.
And that is also quite important for a country.
All those benefits, and we
Yes.
totally don't knock that down. But let's get down to the numbers and what it will mean for the taxpayer and the cost of running the airline once it's revived in totality and gets into its operations.
Yes.
So far, the government says that it will need 1.3 trillion shillings just to purchase the aircraft. Of course, there's been talk, and this I think has already passed through. We have purchased 4 CRJ 900 regional jets. That's already in there, and 2 A330-800 neo aircrafts. That's already in. But all that, just the purchase of these Airbuses will cost us 1.3 trillion shillings. And I want us today, for you to educate us today. The airlines, the aircrafts are there, but what will it take to start operations cost-wise? What will we need in terms of audits for us to get, you know, leeway in terms of security, safety? Because I know all this comes with the regulator of the airspace, as CAA.
First of all, I want to draw the line between what CAA is responsible for
Right.
and what the airline itself is responsible for. When you talk about purchase of aircraft and all those other things, those are entirely the preserve of the airline itself.
Correct.
Of course, in liaison with the government, which is assisting to establish it. As CAA, we are first of all, our primary role is to advise government on air transport. And we have played our role in that regard. We are the ones who advised the government in the first place over the need to revive the airline. And we are glad and proud that government took that advice seriously and is implementing
So
it.
it actually came from you?
Yes, it came from us, but then studies were done.
Yes.
And those studies have been concluded, confirming that indeed we needed this airline yesterday. So now, while the airline has its part that it will do as an airline, there are also elements that we as CAA are responsible for. For instance, in getting the airline to actually operate, there are processes and procedures that they have to go through, including licensing for the airline, and that is already ongoing. You may recall in August, on 23rd August, we had a public hearing at Imperial Royal Hotel where we listened to applications from different airlines seeking to commence air operations in Uganda, and that included the national airline itself. Now, that public hearing is a mandatory exercise that is conducted before an applicant for air services is granted an air service license. And before we hold that public hearing, we run a notice in the newspaper, 30 days notice, inviting members of the public to that public hearing where the applicants defend their applications. And indeed they came, and the airline defended their application before the Board Air Services Licensing Committee. Now that is one of the first steps as CAA that we take. That has happened. We are also now considering their application for an air operator certificate, and we are going through, taking them through the requirements for an air operator certificate. So that all is being done by the regulator, which is CAA. So we are working closely with the airline to ensure that some of the basic things that need to be in place are actually in place before they commence operations.
Okay, so it's just that, but I'm sure there's a cost implication to that.
Yes, the processes, there are costs that especially the airline incurs.
Are you in a position to tell us?
No, for the costs, I am not in a position. That can best come from the horse's mouth. But some of them, I can see you already have them, because these have, like the purchase costs for the aircraft, these have been reported in the newspapers.
But you're the ones who are getting this money. The
No.
Uganda Airlines company pays to you to get licensing. Am I right?
Yes, we are the ones who grant them the license to operate. Yes, but that's not where the key costs are really. The license, fulfillment of regulatory procedures and regulations. Yeah, it's not hinged so much to the costs. The costs are more on the equipment that they need and these other infrastructure that they need to put in place.
Okay, all right. We'll link back to Andrew Chamagero, but there's one question that the lady asked from the ground, and she said that, of course, we've seen advertisements on the papers, and I know the Uganda Airlines is totally different from the CAA, but I think you can answer her question. She said that she actually went ahead and tried to apply for this particular vacancies that were there, and there was a link provided, but going online, the link was down. She could not access it. So the question is, if just a basic link to job applications is down, then are we really ready for this?
Like you rightly said, this is really in the hands of the airline.
Right.
But you know technology. I don't know whether she tried once or more than once.
More than once.
Technology sometimes can fail for one reason or another. But I know for sure that this process that the airline is doing is ongoing, and it's a transparent process for recruitment of its staff. If the link was down, I'll ensure that I follow up that feedback with the authorities managing the airline to ensure that this is put right, because we need to get competent people applying for these positions that they advertised in the airline.
All right, let's link back to Andrew Chamagero. Andrew, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Marla. And, well, thank you so much, Mr. Vianney. Julian here is excited about that. Julian, do you still have a question for him?
No.
Okay. Well, you had a question. Your question was answered. What's your question to Mr. Vianney?
I'd like 3 things to be related, if possible. One, there is what we call a participatory approach. There is another one which you call a capability approach. Then time. Okay, we need this as Uganda, but still, how are the Ugandans going to participate in it? 2, how are Ugandans capable to participate in it? Then 3, when? Time. So it is, if it is December, which kind of a month or a year, but are the Ugandans having the capability to participate in it in that given time? That is my
All right, Mr. Vian, that's a question. And there was another question that came through Twitter. Well, people saying, Mr. Vian was somera, wano aviation, one last question.
Well, Mr. Vianney, you made it clear that we are going to get 4 jets in December. The other thing, you also made it clear that you even paid some commitment to Airbus industry in Bombardier. So please, do you think all the 4 jets will be of economic use? Don't you think we needed at least all, like 2, or you're saying the one will be for Museveni, perhaps, or the other one will be for ministers?
Don't go political.
No, I'm just like just giving a way forward. I'm helping Mr. Vianney to see whether we can tackle this question together. But that is the case. Do you think all the 4 will be of use, or we needed less so that we can bring out to the economic impact of Uganda?
Well, there you have it, Mr. Luja. If you could respond to those questions, it's a very interesting conversation. Does Uganda need a national carrier? The conversation is still running on Twitter and, of course, on Facebook. Mr. Vianney, if you could respond to that.
The first gentleman talked about the participatory approach and whether Ugandans are involved in this. Yes, indeed, of course, Ugandans are involved. And these jobs that were advertised by the airline, they are actually targeting Ugandans. Part of the team that is already in place for the national airline, including the CEO, is a Ugandan. And the team that has been working on efforts to ensure revival is composed of Ugandans. So there is a lot of involvement of Ugandans in this project. Besides that, when I talk, the participatory approach is talking about the public hearing that I mentioned earlier on, which was held on 23rd August, was aimed at having feedback from members of the public on what they think about this process, and that involved the public. So I believe that is a participatory approach as part of it. There is someone who talked about jobs in Civil Aviation Authority. The recruitment process for Civil Aviation Authority is extremely transparent. Even myself, I only applied for a job that I saw in the newspapers, and I was invited for an interview. Many other colleagues have gone through the same process, which is extremely transparent. So I encourage the students at university to actually look towards joining us in the aviation industry. The opportunities are enormous in different fields across the sphere. Then there's another of them who mentioned about the number of aircraft. While I can comment on that, I want to first of all re-emphasize that that is really an issue of the airline itself. I mentioned earlier on that feasibility studies were done. Okay. They have a business plan of how they are going to transact their business, and these plans all show what they are looking, what the target is, and what they are going to do. So the number that they have zeroed down on is a result of studies. And they have also mentioned earlier on publicly that they are not going to hit the ground running straight away with international operations, but they are going to start with regional operations within the continent for the first 2 years. And after that, after going through the teething problems of starting, then they will spread beyond the continent for fully.
Guys were saying that we are being too ambitious. We should have started small, maybe 2 aircrafts or 3 aircrafts instead of going 6 at once. But like you say, it's it's in the place of the government, and of course with the feasibility study that was done by the National Planning Authority. Okay, we're taking a short commercial break. Keep your views coming. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. That's on Twitter. You can also stream us live and drop in your comments. NTV Uganda, that's on Facebook and YouTube. The conversation still continues. We have to pay our bills, but we'll be right back. Keep it here.